Let's face it, getting the VA to acknowledge that your current conditions are actually related to your military service could be like pulling teeth. We sort of all know this to be the case. A key focus that has allowed many of our clients, talking thousands and thousands of veterans, even who have been out of the military for multiple decades, are able to transform their financial lives and finally win their VA claims, is largely hinging upon one key piece of evidence. This is called a Nexus letter. Today we're diving in. We're going to demystify what a Nexus letter is, how to obtain one, both for free or paid in multiple different scenarios, and so you can get the rating that you deserve at long last. I'm Jordan Anderson with VA Claims Academy. Let's talk about it. So vast majority of vets know that there's an issue going on with their VA claims. We know that, hey, we're getting our claims denied. However, the mechanism behind how and why these claims are getting denied is a bit more nuanced, and a lot of vets don't actually know. The fact that the VA, most of the time, is actually acknowledging, they're conceding the fact that you're hurt, your back is injured, you have PTSD, or you have an ankle sprain, you have a degenerative arthritis in your knees, or what have you. They're acknowledging that most of the time and still denying you VA disability. Why is that? That confuses a lot of veterans. It's because they're denying you on the basis of service connection. So if you've seen my 3-step process, I like to boil things down super easy for VA claims. You'll know that step 1 of the VA rating process is they want to ask, do you even have a condition? Yes. Step 2 is where most of us get denied. Is this condition due to your military service? And then, of course, step 3 is how severe it is, right? How much do we actually have to pay you now that we know that we're on the hook as the VA, right? So step 2 is the key portion where 80% plus of all VA claim denials are in this second step, okay? Service connection. So the most powerful tool, or one of them at least, is a Nexus letter. What is a Nexus letter? Imagine having a medical professional, maybe even a specialist within their scope of practice, right? Someone high authority coming to the table on your behalf and giving their opinion that your conditions are in fact, at least as likely as not, related to your military service. That's what a Nexus letter essentially is. It's a doctor's note from a medical professional giving their opinion in an official manner, which has some key words in it that the VA is going to want to see with medical backing. They're going to want to know that, hey, I have reviewed this veteran's records. I'm familiar with their treatment. Here's XYZ as to why, in my medical opinion, this is more, or at least as likely as not, related to your military service. That could be a game changer for your VA claim. Whereas you didn't go to the doctor during service, right? Whereas maybe you did see sick bay and they just didn't write the notes down correctly. You came in for back pain and they just wrote, hey, troop came in for pain, got some ibuprofen, whatever, lunch break, right? This can help salvage the lack of medical evidence in your file and could change everything. Let me tell you how. By the way, if you're getting value from this video, be sure to hit that like button for me. The process of your VA disability claim takes you through what's called the compensation and pension exam. Now, during this examination, typically your general C&P exam, compensation and pension, is going to be done with maybe a nurse practitioner who is contracted through the VA. So the nurse practitioner could give their opportunity maybe in this 15-minute appointment that, hey, maybe in their opinion, I don't know if your condition is related to service. I'm just going to say no. Well, in this case, having a higher ranking doctor that has your back on record, right? And they're signing for you, giving their opinion, and maybe they're not just a nurse practitioner. Perhaps they're an orthopedic surgeon. Perhaps they are an ENT, right? A ear, nose, throat specialist. Perhaps they're a gastroenterologist. They're a specialist. These are much higher ranking on the ladder in terms of medical professionals than perhaps even your C&P examiner. And a lot of times this could override a bad C&P exam. Sometimes the VA rater will just go with the examiner no matter what, and that's a tough break. However, having the best, most high ranking medical evidence in your favor is objectively a good thing 10 times out of 10. By the way, here at VA Claims Academy, link in the description below, we've used this for our clients to win things after 36 plus years, get clients 100% rating finally, get sleep apnea secondary to weight gain, what have you. So here's how you can acquire a Nexus letter. Let's talk about the free way to do it first, because this is important, because not only could you do this for free, however, this free way you can do it could actually be the most powerful version of a Nexus letter you could possibly even get your hands on. Let me explain to you how that is, okay? I want to lay a foundation first. Whenever you are looking to get a Nexus letter, it's always best to go with your own treating doctor, okay? Now, I know I'm the founder and curator of VADisabilityDoctors.com, and that's a service where you can pay a specialized medical-friendly medical team to go and do your reviews for you, to give a Nexus opinion for you. However, I'm even going to tell you, having this done by your own doctor for free is even better. Why is that? Especially if they're a specialist. It's because your own doctor is more familiar with your treatment, with your medical history, and therefore more compelling when they actually give their opinion on record than any other doctor that you're seeing maybe for the first time or the second time, okay? Here's the problem with that. You don't want to just ask your own treating doctor. Let's say you have Kaiser Permanente and you're asking your treating doctor, hey doc, could you go ahead and draft up a Nexus letter from scratch for me? Number one, they probably, unless you went to their wedding or something, they're probably not going to want to spend 40 minutes writing a Nexus letter from scratch for you, okay? It's just not going to happen. Number two, even if they did have the kindness of the heart to dedicate that much time to drafting a Nexus letter, what are the odds that you think that they know the key verbiage that needs to be included? Specifically, there's some key phrases that need to be included that most civilian doctors just are going to miss, okay? They're not familiar with this process. This is why the solution is, if you're doing this the free way, you need to bring them a template, okay? You need to bring them something that they can edit, plug and play, boom, rock on. Took them 7 minutes of their time, much more realistic, and they could just plug in your information into this existing template that has all the goodies baked in that makes it a valid VA document, and that's the way to really go. So if this is you, and you're saying maybe, hey, maybe you have a chiropractor, right? Maybe a chiropractor is not as high ranking in the, in the lexicon of doctors as maybe an orthopedic surgeon perceived to be, but maybe you can get a chiropractor's opinion and not spend any cash. Hey, I would do that 10 times out of 10, right? Even a physical therapist. Something on paper is better than nothing. If this is you and you have someone in your medical team that might be willing to go on record and at least fence sit, right? The threshold for a Nexus is only at least as likely as not, meaning 50% or greater, then you definitely need to head over to freenexusletters.com and download your free Nexus letter template. Print that out or email it, even better, to your doctor's office to where they can just edit it, right, digitally and email it back to you. You print that out, you're good to go. Okay, freenexusletters.com for the first version. A lot of us don't have that luxury, right? Maybe you're getting treated at the VA and they refuse to sign Nexus letters for you, or maybe you just have a doctor that's not comfortable going on record on your behalf. What do you do then? Well, that exact scenario has led to many pitfalls, including some that I've actually fallen for when I was transitioning out of the military. And that's companies that really want to take your cash and get the doctors to write you something. I call them Nexus letter farms, and they do not care what your medical record is. They don't even care if you actually need a Nexus letter or not. I got basically forced through, even though I was still active duty at the time, with doctors that wanted to charge me for Nexus letters. I didn't even need them. And then when I finally got medical evidence, it was completely not even me. They must have mixed me up with someone else because they said I was at war and all this stuff. I had never deployed a day in my life. So this is to say that you can go very wrong with when you purchase Nexus Letters. Here's why. You do not want to add anyone's name, right? These are signed. These Nexus Letters that you have are signed and it has the doctor's name. You do not want any doctor or from any, doctor's organization, let's say a Nexus Letter farm, that is deemed or will be deemed to be non-credible. Why is that? When you're bringing evidence permanently onto your VA record, right? This is a federal process. You don't want anyone that has a lack of credibility. You don't want anyone who has been accused of falsifying statements, anything to do with you. You want that very far away. I think that makes a lot of sense. So what you need to do in this process is, if you are going to spend for Nexus Letters, you don't want to cheap out. Okay, what I'm saying is if you see Nexus Letters out there for $300, do you think that you're getting a top quality doctor who's taking their time reviewing your medical file, writing you a Nexus Letter, and it's only $300? Probably not. The fact of the matter is you want a board certified doctor, right? Because you want credibility on your record. The fact of the matter is that this is a life-changing benefit, tax-free passive pension, often to the tune of multiple 4 figures every month for the rest of your life. You don't want to cheap out. You don't want to save a couple $100 here, okay? And number 4 is you don't want the same doctors being used over and over again for tens of thousands of veterans' other claims. What are most veterans going to gravitate to? Probably the cheaper, sort of prices. So what ends up happening is those same doctors get seen by the VA all the time on these Nexus Letters. Hey, signed by Dr. So-and-so. Again, okay. And what you end up have happen is this sort of blacklist, right? That the VA sees these same names over and over again, and these raters get very wary and start taking them less seriously. That's just my opinion, okay? You want to go with someone that's reputable. However, it's a premium product, so you're going to pay a premium price. Here's what I recommend. I would search in your state, because sometimes that could be even more compelling if the doctor's in your state. I would search in your state for a Nexus Letter company with those criteria. Expect to pay around $1,000 per Nexus Letter. That's typically kind of, hey, that's a good price, but you're not cheapening out, okay? And if you can't find, a Nexus Letter company in your state with great reviews, that's in that price range where you're paying a premium, it kind of stings a bit, but it's not obviously outrageous. That could be a good start. Or go to vadisabilitydoctors.com. Okay, again, disclaimer, I am the founder and curator, but I did it because there was a gaping issue and I wanted to solve it. So vadisabilitydoctors.com, what I love about them is you can call them up, get a free consultation with a medical evidence expert, and they'll actually tell you, hey, sounds like you don't need a Nexus Letter. Good to go. And one thing I couldn't stand is when I was pushed into, hey, you need a Nexus Letter even though you're active duty. No, that's garbage, okay? So do your homework. Try to find the best medical evidence possible because it's going to be on your record forever. So even if you need to save for a couple months, trust me, it can be very worth it. Fellow vets, I really hope this helped you out. All of these resources I'll go ahead and link in the description below, as well as the pinned comment. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.